goods, not the land. The land can be bought and sold, conquered and lost, as has been seen throughout history. That's why there's expansion and contraction of empires and nation states. But I do think that there's, if this were the case, like I said, if you looked at it from this point of view, that, you know what, if we were to, let's just say, repatriate the wealth, and not even the wealth, I mean, that's the smallest viewpoint on it, because wealth translates to resources and land and property. Now, you could leave all the ones and zeros in the accounts of the mega gazillionaires across the planet, and that's fine. And, you know, they can have all of their money. But if you take all of their land that is part of your nation and you repatriate that, at the very least, you can call yourself square. You know, because I would imagine that the land holdings, because land is that is the ultimate resource to long-term wealth, property, resources on that property that can be derived from that property. And although the ultra elite money fumbling that is the backbone of the Federal Reserve System, which, I mean, compound interest on money to a nation by a few, I mean, relatively few private people who speak for giant corporations, but they're relatively few private individuals. My position is that the one thing that they could each agree on is, okay, well, you can have all of your ones and zeros, but you no longer, any of you, have any holdings within our nation. And that means that if you left, say, a business here, a building with employees, call it the Federal Reserve, or the Bank of England, or the Bank of France, which are, you know, let's say they're central banks, then, sorry, you forfeit those, because it's a repatriation. We are taking back everything, and we're saying we don't owe you anything, and if you don't want to deal with that, well, here's the explicit content portion. Fuck you. What are you going to do? Eat shit. Walk away. You know, it's, well, we're going to sue. We don't, no, we repatriated your shit. We are stating that you have no legal rights in our nation. You don't have the right to sue. You're not a citizen. We're a corporation. Yeah, we're eliminating that shit too. Your corporation is no longer recognized by our nation. In fact, we're repatriating all the assets of that too. So again, get straight fucked. You know, you want to go do the conspiracy theory Hitler and go hang out in the Argentinian hills with all of your ones and zeros? Fuck, do it up. You want to have some a whole bunch of servants and staff? That's fine, do it. But that's no longer going to include people in our country. Period. And, oh, by the way, how do you make this amenable? How do you make this agreeable to Russia? Well, okay, well, we're going to agree, because all of the animus toward Russia, bottom line in the end, is it's just propaganda shit. I mean, it is an agreed upon position by those who run the media and who are very influential in governments. It is an agreed upon position that Russia is bad because of this incident, which doesn't really make a shit ton of sense, but also because of Crimea and because of blah-de-de-blah, Ukraine and everything else. Okay, so does anybody remember a little thing called the Civil War? We weren't okay with, hey, you want to leave? All right, later. Fucking, high fives all around. That's not what happened. And when you wrap your head around that's not what happened, then you can start talking about the Russia issue. And from there, you have an objective platform that you can argue from. But at that point, I don't think you have a great argument. Were both situations questionable? Absolutely. But bottom line of what happened is a central government, a centralized government, a federation of sorts, or a union, as it were, is going to fight to lose independent sections of that union, because it is loss of land, it is loss of military position, it is loss of resources, and most importantly, it is loss of the people that make up that union, because the people are, they're the strength of the union, the people in the land. So if there's no more animus based on the petrodollar, because if we wanted to get off of fossil fuels, it would take about 6 months if all of the major nations on the planet decided to get behind it, because there are incredible sources of renewable energy all around us. And it's granted, the problem is filtering it down to the people, which again, it's not like everybody has to have fucking solar panels at their house, although that would be helpful. But you need renewable sources to power the power plants themselves. And that's big jobs. I mean, repurposing of so many different things and getting off of, the fossil fuels from the earth. I mean, it's a big job. But as far as policy-wise, getting to a point where we are going to, as is feasible, repurpose to renewable energy. I mean, on a large scale, it's actually not that tough, because when you start utilizing, look at the Netherlands, or Denmark. Is it Denmark that's, I think, going to be completely renewable by 2020 or something? No matter what, I mean, the United States is a bountiful land of resources, a bountiful land of energy, where you don't have flowing water. Then you may have wind. If you don't have wind, you may have solar. And solar kind of gets a bad rap because you just need a lot of it. I mean, I've seen where solar and thermal are combined, and that seems to be very effective. You gain solar on like a light pass through toward a core that becomes thermal. It becomes hot through magnification of the light, and it uses that thermal energy and blah blah blah, and that seems to be pretty impressive. But what I'm saying is, if we all decided to get off fossil fuels, we would all be on an even playing ground. And granted, Russia, I don't think that Putin would be very happy about shutting down his oil exports immediately. But if we stop purchasing oil from some of those nations they're simply anti-democracy, and they're anti not just democracy or any type of representation in government by the people or of the people. If there are states, nation states, that is their position, we shouldn't be doing business with them. We certainly shouldn't be buying oil from them. And these corporations that have been subservient to the centralized bankers, and that are nothing more than corporations that are primarily owned by these centralized banks, and corporations owned by corporations and things like that. Well, you repatriated all of that for redistribution. I just believe that it wouldn't be terribly difficult to get everyone in the world who believes in representation by the people being a stronger argument than representation by simple ones and zeros, dollars and cents. If you can get everyone on the same page with that, I don't think it'd be terribly difficult to bring us out of conflict across the world among all the major players. I mean, money is important.
But when you have a group in this particular conspiracy theory, I'm not saying any of this is real, but let's say that they do control among however many terribly small segments of the world, say they control half of the wealth of the entire world, which
I know that sounds absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely. That's just stupid. Until you take a look at, 96% of all media operations in the United States are owned by 6 corporations. Where does the ownership of those corporations go to? Now, let's just go anything of it. It has to be, you have to only go with controlling interests. You can't put the people at the bottom with some 9-digit fractional portion of this corporation. No, we're not gonna. That's stupid. The control of the corporation, even above a board of directors, goes to majority shareholders, because the board of directors has to act in the interest of financial gain. Well, when you are the controlling holder of that, so where does that go to? Who is made? If you took all of that stuff together, so that's just the mainstream media. But I mean, that's 96%. And let's say that controlling interest in NBC, I don't know what the controlling interest is, but what I can tell you is that it's not going to be readily apparent, because it's stupid to just go and buy up all of a corporation under your own name. And it doesn't make sense. And Walt Disney, who was quietly buying up the stocks of his own corporation that he created in order to be unquestionably the boss, which he should have been.
I mean, that's how anyone would. So you have to look into that too. So let's just say that the controlling interests justify 10%. So the 10% interest holder, which that doesn't make any sense. I mean, I don't think that would really work out. But let's say controlling interests go to 51%. Now remember, Walmart is wholly
family owned. Walmart is gigantic. It is wholly family owned. It is 100% this particular family. But let's say that you decided to be smart about it, and in a corporation you owned 51% of all shares in this corporation, which initially, when you begin the corporation, if you only say